My name is David Thompson, a telecom company employee. I am 45 years old. This is a true story of wife betrayal that happened in my life, including how I dealt with it, and I hope it will give you more food for thought. Here is this story of marital betrayal and defiance. One day, I gradually noticed some obvious changes in Lauren's sex life. These changes puzzled me, and I even began to have some unnameable suspicions. Whenever night fell and we cuddled up together, I always felt that she seemed to have become different from usual, and her body language revealed a strange and fresh feeling. At first, I thought it was just her wanting to try some new ways to spice up our married life. After all, a long married life needs some new excitement and changes to keep it alive and fresh. However, as time went by, these changes became more and more disturbing to me. That night, we went to bed as usual. As Lauren began to actively tease me, I noticed that she was moving a little differently than she had in the past. She tried some new positions and techniques that I had never seen before in our previous sex life. While I was pleasantly surprised by her attempts, I was more confused and skeptical. "Where did you learn all this?" I tried to ask in a relaxed tone to hide the uneasiness in my mind. Lauren laughed, and instead of answering my question directly, she changed the subject. "Don't you think this is fun? We've been together for so long. Wouldn't it be nice to try something new?" I nodded and didn't pursue the question further. But my heart was filled with doubts. These new positions and techniques were obviously not something she could come up with on her own. So where did she learn them from? Could it be that someone was teaching her? As soon as this thought popped up, it made me feel a wave of inexplicable panic. Over the next few days, I secretly observed Lauren's every move. I noticed that she began to pay more attention to her appearance, often wearing makeup, new clothes, and even going to the gym to work out. These changes made me feel even more uneasy because this was not the Lauren I knew. I tried to calm myself down, telling myself that it was just her wanting to change herself and add something new to our lives. However, those changes about my sex life are always in the back of my mind, lingering. One evening, I plucked up the courage to ask her again about the source of those new tips. Lauren looked a little uncomfortable as she avoided my eyes and said vaguely, "Oh, those I just saw some videos on the internet and thought they were interesting, so I thought I'd give them a try." Although her explanation sounded reasonable, I still sensed that she was hiding something. I knew that we had reached a bottleneck in our married life and needed some new elements to energize. But are these changes really just her efforts to change? Or is there something else hidden behind them? That night, as I lay in bed tossing and turning, unable to sleep, I felt an unprecedented sense of distance from Lauren's breathing as it whispered in my ear. I didn't know how to cope with the change or how to deal with the sudden skepticism and unease. I began to think back to the time when we met and fell in love, and those good times seemed like yesterday. We used to love each other so much and trust each other so much. Now, however, I began to doubt her loyalty and sincerity. This feeling makes my heart ache and makes me deeply worried about our marriage. I knew that I couldn't just let my doubts and insecurities continue to spread. I needed to find answers. I needed to figure out the real reason for these changes. So I decided to take action and start investigating the truth behind it all. Over the next few days, I began to watch Lauren's every move more closely. I noticed that she would often check her cell phone surreptitiously and always avoided answering my calls. These behaviors made me even more convinced that she was hiding something from me. The cloud of doubt has been hanging over me for many days now, and in the dead of night, those doubts and disturbances are like the tentacles of darkness, slowly reaching out to me, choking me by the throat. Whenever this happened, I would gaze at Lauren's quiet, sleeping face, trying to find some answers from her calm face. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't read her inner thoughts. Finally, I decided to take action and hired a private investigator who is well known in the industry. He was tall, with eyes as sharp as eagles, and gave a sense of unquestionable professionalism. I recounted my concerns to him in detail, and he listened quietly, occasionally nodding, but not saying a word. When he finally spoke, he asked just a few key questions succinctly before setting off on his investigation. Those days, I was like an ant on a hot pan, anxiously waiting for news from the detective. The ringing of the phone became my most sensitive sound, and every time it rang, it made my heart beat faster, hoping that it was the progress brought by the detective. I even began to be distracted at work, secretly observing Lauren's every movement, every expression, hoping to discover something on my own. One evening, a week later, the detective's call finally came. His voice was calm and firm, as if every word was well thought out. "Mr. David, I have discovered your wife's secret." On the other end of the phone, my heart seemed to skip a beat, waiting for him to continue. The detective describes his findings in detail. He followed Lauren and discovered that she often met secretly with a handsome, unknown man. They would sit on a park bench in the afternoon sun and whisper, and occasionally the man would say something that would make Lauren laugh. They would also be in the corner of a cafe, the two of them sitting opposite each other, the man talking and Lauren listening, with a look of concentration that I hadn't seen in a long time. In a shaky voice, I asked, "That man, he? Who is he?" The detective was silent for a moment, then replied, "He is a co-worker of your wife's, and judging from their interactions, the relationship is extraordinary." At that moment, it was as if I was struck by lightning, and my whole body froze. Lauren's change turned out not to be as simple as I had imagined. She had a new relationship, a new trust. I felt like I had fallen into a bottomless abyss, surrounded by darkness. I gripped the phone tightly, my knuckles white with excessive force. My heart was filled with the anger and disappointment of being betrayed. Lauren, the woman I once loved and trusted beyond measure, had done this to me. I felt my heart hurt like it was being torn apart, and my love and loyalty to her became so ridiculous at this moment. But I knew that I couldn't just fall apart. I had to get up and face it all. Because, no matter what the outcome, I had to find an answer for myself, for our marriage. The moment I got the private investigator's report, an inexplicable feeling of dread welled up in me. This report exhaustively documented Lauren's secret meeting with another man. Their smiles, their gestures, lingered in my mind. Despite having had a premonition, I felt my heart twisting when I was actually confronted with this moment. Every word in the report was like a sharp arrow pointing straight to my heart. The photographs, the records, all told me the brutal truth. My wife, Lauren, was having an affair. I can't describe how I felt. Was it shock, disappointment, or anger? Maybe it was all of them, and maybe none of them were enough to express the turmoil I felt inside. I sat on the couch, my body stiff as a puppet. The report in my hand became heavy as if it carried all my sadness and anger. I looked up at the window. The sky was so blue. The sun was so bright, but my world was plunged into darkness. Lauren, how could she do such a thing? We used to love each other so much and went through so many storms together. She once told me that she would stay with me until old age, no matter how poor or rich, healthy or sick. Those vows and promises, were they all just empty words? Time seemed to stand still for a moment, and I don't know how long I sat there until night fell and the lights came on. I suddenly realized that I couldn't just sink into my grief and anger. I needed to face this, needed to find Lauren and ask for clarification. I stood up, feeling a little weak in my legs, but I walked determinedly towards our bedroom. Every step was like walking on the tip of a knife, but I had to face it. When I pushed open the bedroom door, Lauren was sitting at the dresser brushing her long hair. She still looked beautiful, but I couldn't appreciate her the way I used to. I walked up behind her and looked at her quietly. She seemed to have sensed my arrival and stopped what she was doing and locked eyes with me through the mirror. At that moment, I saw panic and uneasiness in her eyes. "What happened to you?" She tried to ask me in a calm tone, but I knew she was hiding the panic inside. I handed her the report in my hand and said coldly, "What is this? Can you explain it to me?" Lauren's face instantly turned as pale as snow as she shakily took the report and only flipped through a few pages before tears began to well up in her eyes. "David, she choked out. "Why are you doing this?" I tried to sound as calm as I could. Is our relationship so unworthy of you? It's not like that. Lauren turned to face me, tears sliding down her cheeks. I don't know why I would go this far. I love you, David. I always have. But, but I feel like our life is becoming more and more mundane, less and less passionate. I want to find some new feelings, some new excitement. So you chose to betray me? I interrupted her with undisguised anger in my voice. You gave up on our marriage and our relationship so easily?
No, David E.
I never meant to give up on you. I just made a stupid decision on impulse. Lauren sobbed. I watched her tearful face as a wave of mixed emotions welled up in me. Was it pity, anger, or disappointment? I shook my head, trying to clear it. Lauren, you know what? This report has made me completely disappointed in you. I used to think our relationship was unbreakable, but now it seems I was naive. David, please forgive me, Lauren said as she hugged me tightly, tears soaking my shirt. I know I was wrong, and I'd give anything to get our relationship back. Please give me a chance to make up for my mistakes. I gently pushed her away from me and looked at her tear-filled face with a stabbing pain in my heart. Lauren, I can't accept your betrayal. This hurt is too deep and too heavy for me to forgive you. I turned and walked out of the bedroom, my heart filled with endless disappointment and pain. I knew I needed time to heal this scarred relationship, and Lauren needed to live with the consequences of the mistakes she had made. I stood on the balcony. The night breeze gently blew across my face, bringing a hint of coolness. I looked up at the starry sky, and a wave of inexplicable emotion welled up in my heart. This marriage may be over, but the lessons it taught me will stay with me for the rest of my life. I will remember this experience and make myself stronger and more mature. And Lauren, I hope she can learn from this experience and start a new life. Unable to face her again, I turned and walked out of the room. I needed some time and space to calm myself. I walked aimlessly down the street, Lauren's words echoing in my head. Our marriage, our family, was it ruined? After I don't know how long, I returned home. The two daughters, Julie and Kate, were sitting on the couch talking in low voices. They saw me return and immediately stopped talking and looked over at me. I knew that I couldn't run away and had to tell them what was about to happen. I sat down next to them and took a deep breath, trying to sound calm. Daughters, I have something important to tell you. They immediately noticed something was wrong with me, and Julie grabbed my hand. Daddy, what's wrong with you? You look terrible. The sadness in my heart increased as I looked at their worried faces. I held Julie's hand tightly, then looked to Kate and said in a hoarse voice, Your mom? She's having an affair. As soon as my words left my mouth, the room fell into a deathly silence. Julie and Kate stared at me with wide, unbelieving eyes. I could see the shock and confusion in their eyes, and my heart felt like it was being torn apart. Julie's tears slipped instantly, and she asked me in a trembling voice, Dad, are you saying that Mom, she doesn't want us anymore? I hugged her tightly and tried to give her some comfort. No, baby, it's not that Mommy doesn't want you guys. It's just that something went wrong between her and Daddy. But no matter what, Daddy and Mommy will love you all as much as ever. Kate, on the other hand, appeared relatively calm as she looked at me with a determined gleam in her eye. Dad, we'll be there for you. No matter what happens, we'll be by your side. Hearing my daughter's words brought a little comfort to the sadness in my heart. I knew that the next few days would be difficult, but I had to be strong for my daughters. The next few days were filled with a heavy atmosphere in the house. Lauren spent most of her time holed up in her room while my daughters and I tried to maintain a normal routine. We comforted each other and faced this sudden change together. I took a deep breath, opened a new document, and began to draft the divorce agreement. I carefully scrutinized every clause, especially about the division of property and the custody of our daughter. I didn't want to bring too much trouble to Julie and Kate because of our separation. After the first draft of the agreement was completed, I printed out a copy and decided to approach Lauren for a final negotiation. When I walked into the living room, Lauren was sitting on the couch, her eyes staring vacantly out the window. I didn't disturb her contemplation, but just gently placed the agreement on the coffee table in front of her. Here's the first draft of the divorce papers. My voice was calm and firm. I want us to work this out quickly and give each other a fresh start. Lauren didn't respond right away. She just silently picked up the agreement and scrutinized it page by page. Throughout the process, neither of us spoke, but I knew that she was reading it very carefully. Finally, she put down the paper in her hand and took a deep breath. I have no problem with that. Her voice was a bit hoarse, but her tone was surprisingly calm. Just do as you say. At that moment, I suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of relief. Perhaps this ending was the best choice for both of us. There was no excessive argument or entanglement between us. We just accepted it all calmly. Over the next few days, we worked together to contact an attorney to finalize and sign the agreement. The whole process went surprisingly smoothly, as if everything was already predetermined. And just like that, my marriage to Lauren came to an end. While there is inevitably some regret and sadness in my heart, I know that it was a good decision for both of us. In the future, we will move on in different capacities. But no matter what, I will do everything I can to love and support my daughters. Since that day when I calmly reached a divorce settlement with Lauren, we have been working on the specifics of our breakup. Property division, emotional sorting out. Each item is like a sharp knife, deep into my heart. But I knew that it was better to have a long pain than a short one, and I had to face it. First is the division of property. The house we owned together, that had been our warm home, was now to be divided in two. I got a real estate appraiser to do a fair valuation of the house. According to the agreement, we would sell the house and split the proceeds equally. That weekend, Lauren and I packed her things together. She went back and forth between the den and the bedroom, silently packing her clothes and books. I watched her busy body with mixed feelings. Whenever her eyes met mine, I could see the apology and reluctance in her eyes. But we both knew clearly that there was no turning back now. The division of the vehicles was relatively simple. We each kept our cars, and those joint savings and investments were divided fairly according to the agreement. Neither of us argued too much during the process, as if we both wanted to get it over with as quickly as possible. However, the most difficult thing for me to deal with is the emotional processing. Every late night, I think of all the good times I spent with Lauren. Those cozy nights where we watched movies together, cooked together, and talked and laughed together. Looking back now, those days seem like yesterday. But reality is harsh, and I have to accept the fact that we have separated. In order to enable myself to get out of this shadow as soon as possible, I decided to seek the help of a counselor. In the counseling room, I poured out my pain and confusion. The counselor told me that divorce is a major life event that takes time to adapt and accept. She encouraged me to face my emotions bravely and allow myself to feel pain, but at the same time to look forward positively. Under the guidance of my counselor, I began to learn how to face and deal with my emotions. I gradually accepted this reality and began to try to build a new life. Although the process was full of challenges and difficulties, I knew that only I could save myself. In the process, I also began to re-examine my life and values. I began to pay attention to my inner needs and dreams and try to pursue the life I want. I started to try some new hobbies and interests, such as photography and traveling, to make my life more colorful. At the same time, I began to re-examine my relationship with my daughters. I realized that although my marriage to Lauren had ended, my love and responsibility for my daughters had not. I decided that I would try harder to play the role of a father and give them more love and support. Every weekend or vacation, I would take them out with me and share life together. Our relationship has become closer and more cordial as a result. As time went on, I gradually came out of my divorce. Although there are still some regrets and reluctance in my heart, I know that life goes on. I learned to cherish the life I have now and the time I spend with my daughters. I also started to try to get in touch with new people and things to make my life more fulfilling and meaningful. Looking back now, those days of dealing with a breakup were painful, but they also made me grow up a lot. I learned how to face the setbacks and difficulties of life and how to adjust my mind and emotions. I also cherish my present life and the people around me more and try to make my life better and more fulfilling. After my divorce, I went through a long and painful time. But as time went on, I realized that life had to go on and I needed to find a fresh start. It was at this point that my best friend Stacy reached out to me. Stacy is my coworker at work and a good friend for many years. She's a few years older than me, has a lot of experience, and is always there to give me wise advice when I'm confused. When she found out what was going on between Lauren and me, she offered to lend me a cabin on the lake that she had for a while so that I could have a quiet place to heal and adjust my mind. I accepted her kind offer and moved into the lakeside cabin that Stacy provided. Far from the hustle and bustle of the city, surrounded by dense woods and turquoise blue lakes, it seemed like a paradise. Stacy's cabin, though not large, was warmly and comfortably furnished, with every detail filled with the feeling of home. Here I began to focus on work and personal interests in an attempt to recover from my divorce. The hustle and bustle of work left me no time to reminisce about the past, while my new interest in photography allowed me to discover the beauty in life. Whenever I pick up my camera and record the scenery by the lake or the small animals in the forest, an unprecedented sense of satisfaction and fulfillment wells up inside me. Stacy would often come to visit me. She was not only a friend in my life, but also my spiritual mentor. She would listen to my inner pain and confusion and provide me with valuable advice and encouragement. With her companionship and support, I gradually stepped out of the shadow of divorce and began to re-examine my life and values. During my time at the lake house, I learned not only to be alone and enjoy my time alone, but also to appreciate the life in front of me and the people around me. Stacy's generosity and understanding have been deeply warming and appreciated, and have made me realize the preciousness and power of friendship. A few months later, when I felt ready to face my new life, I decided to move back to the city. Before I left the lake house, I invited Stacy over for a special farewell dinner. We sat on the lakeside deck, enjoying the beautiful lake view and the sunset and reminiscing about the past. I thank her for her help and support during my most difficult time and for giving me the opportunity to start over in such a beautiful place. Stacy smiled and said, "David, you are a brave and strong person, and I am confident that you will find your own happiness in your future life." At the telecommunications company where we work together, Stacy has always been respected for her professionalism and enthusiasm. She has not only supported me at work, but has become a trusted confidant in my personal life. When my marriage was falling apart, she was there for me, telling me in a firm tone that there is always a new beginning in life. During that period of time, I would often talk to her after work, pouring out my inner pain and confusion. She always listened patiently and gave me encouragement and advice from time to time. Her gentleness and understanding made me feel a long-lost warmth. Gradually, I found myself relying on her more and more deeply, and her position in my heart also changed quietly. One night I invited Stacy to the lake house. The moonlight poured over the lake, the waves sparkled, and everything looked so peaceful and beautiful. We sat on wooden chairs by the lake, drank hot tea, and talked about each other's lives. I suddenly realized that this evening, I wanted not just her company, but her understanding and love. "Stacy, thank you for always being there for me," I whispered, a hint of tenderness in my voice. "Without you, I probably wouldn't have been able to move on from that failed marriage so quickly." She looked at me with a warm glint in her eyes. "David, we're friends, and it's only natural that we support each other. Besides, I believe you are a strong person. Even without me, you will come out of the haze." I shook my head and smiled. "No, you're different. You gave me the courage to start over and to see that there are good possibilities in life." She was silent for a moment, then said softly, "David, I'm glad to spend this time with you too, but I think we should be clear about our relationship with each other and avoid any misunderstandings." My heart tightened as her words made me realize that I may have developed feelings for her that went beyond friendship. "You mean, we're just friends?" She nodded. at least for now. We all need time to heal and adjust. What will happen in the future is anyone's guess. But for now, I want us to stay good friends. Although I was a little lost by her answer, I did understand what she meant. After all, we had both just gotten over our respective hurts and needed time to revisit our lives and emotions. And, she was right, we were just friends now, and it would take time to see what the future held. Okay, I get it. I took a deep breath and tried to sound calm. We're still good friends, right? Of course. She smiled and reached out her hand, shaking mine firmly. Whenever you want, you can call me for a chat. After that night, I began to re-examine my feelings for Stacy. I didn't want to jeopardize our friendship on a whim. We both needed time to heal our wounds and to explore each other's hearts. In the process, I learned to value our friendship more and look forward to the possibilities of the future. Since moving to the lake house, I have found that I have had more time and space to reflect on my life. In the past, I was always revolving around my family and work, and rarely had time to focus on my inner needs and physical health. Now, I've decided to make some changes in myself. I started going to the gym on a regular basis, not only to build a better body, but also to develop a positive and healthy mindset. After each workout, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief, as if 1,000 pounds had been lifted. Exercise has become a way for me to release my stress, and it has also helped me understand my body better and learn how to keep it healthy and energized. In addition, I have also started to pay attention to my eating habits. In the past, because of my busy schedule, I often overlooked the importance of eating 3 meals a day and just made do with what I had. However, now that I understand the importance of diet to my health, I have started to prepare balanced meals by myself. I have learned how to select fresh ingredients and try to cook a variety of delicious dishes. Every time I prepare a hearty meal for myself, I am treating myself with kindness and care. In the process, I discovered the joy and creativity of cooking. In the kitchen, I have the freedom to mix and match ingredients skillfully to create mouth-watering dishes. This creative process makes me feel very satisfied and fulfilled. In addition to sports and cooking, I have tried many new hobbies. I started to learn photography, capturing the beauty of the lake and life through my lens. Whenever I see the photos I have taken, I feel a sense of heartfelt pride. These photos are not only a record of my life, but also an expression of my emotions. Over time, I gradually emerged from the shadow of my divorce and began to enjoy the freedom and serenity of the single life. I stopped living to meet other people's expectations and really lived for myself. I started experimenting with different styles to become more confident and relaxed. At the same time, I also re-examined my life and values. I began to think deeply about what I was really pursuing and how to realize my goals and dreams. This thinking and self-reflection made me clearer about my direction and strengthened my determination to move forward. Although I have been through a difficult time, I believe I have become stronger and more mature. I know there is still a long road ahead, but I am ready to take on every new challenge and opportunity. This journey of personal growth has helped me to understand myself better and to appreciate what I have now. I stood on the balcony of my lakeside cottage, gazing out over the shimmering beauty of the lake. The breeze gently brushed my face, bringing with it the freshness of the lake and the fragrance of the distant mountains. At this moment, I felt unprecedented peace and fulfillment. Since moving to this place far away from the hustle and bustle, I have gradually found my inner peace. My new life has given me the opportunity to re-examine myself and to look forward to the future. That past marriage was painful and long, but it also allowed me to grow and understand more about what I want. Now I'm ready to start a new chapter and stay open and expectant about my future relationships. Stacy walked over to me, wearing a lightweight dress, her hair flowing gently in the wind. She smiled as she walked toward me, and at that moment, I felt a warmth well up in my heart. During this time, Stacy had been by my side, giving me endless support and encouragement. Her presence has brought back the luster in my life. "What's on your mind?" Stacy asked softly, her voice gentle and kind. I turned my head, looked into her bright eyes, smiled, and replied, thinking about the future. The future? She blinked curiously. Do you have any plans? Well, I want to start over. I took a deep breath and spoke honestly. In the past, I've been so centered around my family and work that I've neglected my dreams and pursuits. Now, I want to pursue the things that really make me feel passionate and happy. Stacy listened with an understanding smile. Great. That's how life should be. Keep pursuing your dreams and happiness. I'm sure you'll find your own piece of the sky. We sat side by side and looked out over the distant landscape. I felt the warmth and support of Stacy and the endless possibilities of the future. Although it will take time for the wounds of the past to heal, I know that as long as I move forward, I will be able to step out of the shadows and embrace a brand new life that belongs to me. As time went on, my relationship with Stacy heated up. We spent many good times together, sharing the joys and sorrows of life with each other. I began to realize that she held an increasingly important place in my heart. However, it was also clear to me that I couldn't rush things. I needed to give myself enough time to heal and adjust my mindset to ensure that I could truly commit to my new relationship. During this time, I also began to try to reestablish my relationship with my daughters. Although they were shocked and confused when they first heard of their parents' divorce, over time we have grown to be honest with each other and have begun to rebuild trust and understanding. I am aware of my responsibilities as a father, and I will do my best to provide them with support and love. In addition, I have thrown myself into various social activities and interest groups and made many new friends. These activities not only enriched my spare time, but also gave me the opportunity to get in touch with different people and fields. I find myself full of curiosity and inquisitive about these new things, which makes me feel very excited and fulfilled. In terms of work, I also started to try to expand my business field and interpersonal network. Through communication and cooperation with colleagues and clients, I have not only improved my business skills, but also gradually built up a good reputation in the company. These achievements make me feel very proud and satisfied, and give me confidence in the future. However, in my pursuit of personal growth and happiness, I always keep in mind the lessons of the past. I realize that no matter what happens in the future, I must cherish what I have now and always remain grateful. At the same time, I have to learn to remain resilient and perseverant in the face of difficulties and move forward. I look back on those difficult times in the past with great emotion. It was those setbacks and tribulations that made me stronger and more mature. Now, when I stand on a new starting point and look into the future, I am full of confidence and expectation. I believe that in the days to come, I will continue to work hard to pursue my dreams and goals and create more happiness and good memories for myself and those around me. And my relationship with Stacy will develop naturally over time. I'm not in a hurry to put any labels on the relationship, just enjoying every moment I have with her. I know that when we are truly ready, that relationship will naturally rise to the next level. From the balcony of our lakeside cabin, I held Stacy's hand tightly as we gazed out over the distant landscape. There is still a long road ahead, but as long as we walk hand in hand, I'm sure we'll create many more wonderful memories and happy times together. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.